Good morning, students. Am I audible? Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Bajran. Thank you, Manish. Okay, so I don't know whether our other students will come or not. We will start our lecture. Okay, thank you, Shubham. So in last lecture, we finished our unit 3. That was our network layer. After network layer, we have our fourth unit, that is a transport layer. Okay, so we are going to start our transport layer basic concepts. Okay, so let me share my screen. So transport layer. So I told you there are three types of delivery. PPTs are visible now. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
anyone? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I told you in the starting there are three types of delivery. One is hope to hope. Data link layer is responsible for that. Then second type is source to destination. The network layer is responsible for that. And process to process delivery, that is transport layer is responsible for that. Okay, so transport layer main task is process to process delivery. So if we take an analogy for this, so we can say if we are writing a letter to our friends, then the person who is writing, that is a process, and the person to whom we are writing, that is another process. Okay, then the person who is sending the letter, the address, home address is the source address, and the person to whom we are writing, his address is the destination address. And then from our home to we go to the nearest post office, that is hope to hope, nearest post office to post office, main post office to the that particular city's post office. So that is hope to hope. Okay, so hope to hope delivery works on the basis of MAC address. Okay, MAC address, physical address, hardware address. Then source to destination. It means in the hope to hope delivery, we send the data or the frames from our machine to the next hop, the next router, from next router to next router, next router to next router, like that. Okay, there we need MAC address. Then the sender's machine to the destination machine, that is source to destination delivery. And in that case we need IP address of source machine and IP address of destination machine. Then in one machine, there may be many processes running simultaneously, many applications running. Then from one application to another application, if I'm sending an email to you, then from my mail to my mailbox to your mailbox, that is process to process. Okay. If I'm using HTTP browser client server, so from my HTTP browser process to your HTTP browser process, that is process to process delivery. So this is like one application to another application, so that is process to process delivery. And for process to process delivery we need port number of all those applications which are running. Okay, so that is the main task of this transport layer. So I hope this process to process delivery concept is clear for you. Okay. Then this transport layer is responsible for process to process delivery, then delivery of packet, a part of message from one process to another process. Then two processes can communicate to each other. Okay. That is a client server architecture. You already know what is client server architecture. Uh, in client server architecture, if we search something on the google.com, so that is a client server architecture, because our machine is acting as a client that time, and the web pages are stored on the google servers. From there we search something. Okay, and those pages are received in our client browser. Okay, so all these are the topics which we are going to discuss. So the client server, you know that this is type of deliveries which I told you: hope to hope, or we also call it as a node to node. Data link layer is responsible for this. So from source machine to the next router to next router, then this is via this node to node it is reaching. Okay, then host to host or source to destination. So that is source machine to destination machine. And there are multiple processes which are running in one machine. So from one particular process to another particular process, that is transport layer. So we can say the transport layer service provide a logical connection between application processes which are running on different host machines. So if this is our source machine and this is a destination machine, so in this particular source machine, if some application is running, that is connected via this transport layer. It provides logical connection. Okay, and this transport layer protocol runs in the source machine and the destination machine. At the sender side, the message is received from the application layer. Application layer is giving you the complete message. If it is an email or if it is a file, it is given to the it is generated in the application layer, given it to the presentation layer, converted into the common format, then to the session layer. Session layer creates the session, then it is given to the transport layer. Transport layer will break that message into segments. So the data unit name of the data unit name at the transport layer is segment. Okay, then those segments are given to the network layer. Network layer divides them into the packets. Packets are given to the data link layer. Data link layer divides those packets in the form of frames. Frames are given to the physical layer. Physical layer converts those frames in the form of bits, and then bits are converted in the form of signals, and signals are transmitted. Okay, so at the sender side, it breaks the message into the segment, and the receiver side, the receiving machine reassemble those segments into the messages and pass to the application layer. So the one task of this transport layer is segmentation and reassembly. The one function of this transport layer service is segmentation and reassembly. Okay, and in this transport layer, see, in the internet protocol, in the network layer, there were many protocols available, but IP protocol is the main protocol that we have to use. Okay, along with IP we can use any other protocol, but IP protocol is must, it is a mandatory if you want to send something into the internet. Okay, but in the transport layer we are having three protocols. Okay, and we can choose any one from that depending on our application. Okay, so the protocols which are available are TCP, UDP, and SCTP. Out of these three, according to our requirement, any protocol can be chosen. Okay, so what is the difference between the transport layer and the network layer? Network layer provides logical communication between two hosts, source machine and the destination machine. Okay, but this transport layer provides logical communication between processes which are running on multiple multiple processes are running on one particular machine. Okay, so this is like 12 kids writing letters to another 12 kids. So the processes are the kids, those who are writing the paper letters. Then application message will be the letters, which the content of the letter, what they have written, those letters, they are in the envelope. So that is the application message. Then host address, source host and destination host are the houses, sender's house and the destination house. And transport protocol via through any person or via transport service you are sending, that is a transport protocol. Okay, and then network layer protocol will be the postal service. Okay, so for this port to port delivery or process to process delivery is based on the port numbers. So in one machine, many application process may be running. So every application process is given a port number like HTTP. HTTP runs on the port number 80. Telnet we use that day. So Telnet runs on the port number 23. FTP runs on the port number 20 and 21. Okay, so like that, every process which is running on a particular machine is given a port number. So this transport layer provides port number. It takes the data and add the port number, source port number and the destination port number. So here in this you can see source port number and the destination port number. So this 13 is if you want to know this daytime. Okay, if you want to just know the daytime, so that process, that server runs on the port number 13. Okay, and this destination port number is any random number. So this is how uh, transport layer header adds the port number, IP layer header, IP header, that network layer adds the IP address of the host machine. It is delivered to that destination machine for using this IP. Now this on this machine, many applications are running. So it search the application for that particular corresponding port number and deliver that message to this particular application. So port number is 16-bit size. Okay, so size of port number is 16-bit. Okay, so size of port number is 16-bit. It means total port numbers we can have 2 raised to power 16. So total 65,535 port numbers are available. Total 65,535 port numbers are available. Those port numbers are divided into three categories. Okay, and who divides this? This is a IANA authority, so Internet Assigned Number Authority. So this IANA takes care of all IP addressing, IP address allocation, the classification, dividing the IP addresses in the classes, and allocating those IP addresses to different organizations, to different service providers, to different continents. So this IANA takes care of all those things. Okay, so this IANA has divided this port number into three range. First range is well-known port numbers. Well-known port numbers 0 to 1023. So total 1024 port numbers are well-known port numbers. These port numbers are given to well-known services, the services which are running on the server side. Okay, so see, if you want to connect to any particular application, we should know the port number. If that port number is not known, so now if I want to connect to HTTP, that port number should be well known to everybody. The person should not try to find out what is a port number. Okay. So that's why HTTP is a well-known service. It can be used by any client. So that's why port number 80 is fixed for it, for HTTP. So these well-known port numbers, initial 1024 port numbers, are given to well-known services which are running on the servers, for Telnet, for FTP, for mail service, for HTTP. Okay, all the applications which are well known, which are running and which are running on the server side. Okay, so these are given to those. So these are known as well-known port number. Then from 1024 to 49,151, this range is available for registration. Okay, if you want to use any port number for your service on your, even on your client side, okay, not for the server, for your service you want to use that fixed port number, then we can register any port number from this range with IANA. Okay, that is registered port number. Then from 49,152 to 65,535, these are random port numbers, dynamic port numbers. These are assigned randomly to any application which is running on our machine. So these are freely available. So if you will see the port number of the client process is running on your machine will be in from this range. Okay, from this dynamic range. So these are freely available. Any application can choose any port number from this and use it. So generally most of the client processes which are running on the client machine, they are using the port number from this range, from 49,000 to 65,000. So these three categories of port number is clear. Any doubt in this? This is an important question from Viva point of view. Yes, anyone is having any doubt? Should I repeat something?
Clear, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the combination of IP address and port number is known as socket address, because with the IP address and the port number, through that only we will be able to access any application running on a particular machine. So that the combination is known as socket address. So socket address is nothing but the combination of IP address and the port number. Okay. So there are multiple processes running on a particular machine. They are given to the multiplexer, and then they are given to the IP addresses, that network layer. Then network layer adds header on every process, and that process is already having the port number. So port number and that IP address is added, and it is given to the data link layer, and then to physical, and then that way it is transmitted. Okay. So these processes, they are running on application layer. They are different there at their application layer, but at other layers, the processes, whatever they are sending, the data is considered as a common data. Whatever data for other layers, it is only a data, irrespective of what process is sending what data, but that is only a data which is received from the application layer. So this multiplexer and demultiplexer, they takes care at the sender and the destination side to take the data from the processes, and demultiplexer takes care to take the data and divide it or give it to the particular application process only running on the destination side. Okay. So this is how, see, these three processes running, given to the this multiplexer, and out of these, two packets were supposed to be sent to this server, one packet was supposed to be sent to this particular server. Okay. So these are given, then multiplexer gives them to the network layer converts them in the form of packets, then IP header is added, and then they are according to the route, based on the routing protocol, from the routing table, the shortest path whatever is possible to reach to that particular machine is transmitted, and that is delivered. So this is the task of multiplexing and demultiplexing. So here at the destination side here, so these two packets are received by the transport layer. So the demultiplexer will take care that these are given to different processes, corresponding process only to running on the service. So that's why if I send you an email is always delivered in your mailbox, not into your Google browser. And if you search something on the Google browser, it is never delivered to your mail. It is always, the reply will be always in your browser only. Okay. And this encapsulation and decapsulation, that takes place because whatever client is sending the message, that message, the header is added at the transport layer, and whatever the message was, that is kept into that data part. So that is, we call that as encapsulation, the process of adding header and putting the our message or data into the data part. And at the destination side, when this header is removed, that is known as decapsulation. Okay. So then transport layers, one function I told you, that segmentation and reassembly. Second function of the transport layer is to provide socket address. So it provides a logical connection between the different processes which are running on different application. Okay. Then third task of this transport layer is error control. Okay. So error control, that network layer is not taking care of the error control. Okay. So network layer is completely unreliable. That IP protocol is best effort delivery. That is unreliable, you can say. Best effort delivery. It is not going to provide any sort of error control, flow control. Data link layer provides flow control, error control, and the transport layer provides error control and the flow control. Data link layer takes care of this error control only from hop to hop. Okay. From this machine to this machine, this machine to this machine. It doesn't take care of this error control in source machine to destination machine. Okay. So that task is done by the this transport layer. So where the data link layer is not going to check that error control, their transport layer is going to check. Okay. So all together they provide a complete reliable delivery from source machine to the destination machine. Now position of this, see, these are different layers, and this application layer, there were multiple applications runs. SMTP is for our mail, FTP is for file transfer, TFTP is again for file transfer, DNS is for our address resolution. So whatever we are typing that google.com, but still it is, the address is resolved into the IP address of the Google server, and our query is sent to the Google. And then this SNMP is for network management. BOOTP is for our assigning the IP address and address resolution. Okay. Uh, like DHCP, this BOOTP is like DHCP, dynamically assigning the IP address. So these are different applications which are running on the application layer. Then transport layer. At the transport layer, there are three protocols: TCP, UDP, SCTP. These are very important, very, very important. TCP, UDP, and SCTP. Then at the network layer, IP protocol is the must, that is a mandatory, the main protocol. Along with IP, these are four another protocols. IGMP is for group management, ICMP is for error control, ARP and RARP for address resolution from address resolution from your MAC to IP and IP to MAC. Okay. And if you are using IPv6, then there are only two protocols in the network layer: IPv6 and ICMP-v6. The functions of IGMP, ARP, RARP all combined together in ICMP. So there are only two protocols running: ICMP-v6 and IPv6 if you are using IPv6. Okay, and then our network layer. So we are going to study these three protocols: SCTP, TCP, UDP. IP is mandatory. If you send anything in the internet, along with IP we can use TCP, we can use UDP, we can use SCTP, we can use ICMP, we can use IGMP, depending on our requirement. Okay, so first we are going to discuss UDP. uh, this transport layer provides reliable and unreliable both services. It provides reliable and unreliable both services. It provides. Okay, UDP provides unreliable service and TCP provides reliable service. Okay, so UDP is connectionless unreliable transport protocol. This is very important for UDP. UDP is connectionless unreliable transport protocol. It unreliable means it is not going to provide you any acknowledgement. It is not going to provide you any flow control information. It is not going to provide you any error control information. Okay. Connectionless is like you do not have to establish a prior connection before sending any data using UDP. This is like your postal service. You do not have to connect to the receiver that I am sending you a letter. Okay, I am writing a letter. You simply write a letter and post it. So postal service will try its level best to deliver. If your packet, if your letter is lost, the postal service is not going to provide you any feedback that your letter was lost. So this is same as UDP. TCP, it establish a prior connection. This is like we have to call that person. Our phone should be connected. Then only we can communicate. Okay. So that is TCP. So it is unreliable connectionless transport protocol. So it does not add anything to the services of the IP address except to provide process to process communication. Okay. IP provides host to host, and this provides process to process. It is not going to add any error control, flow control, or reliability into the IP protocol. Okay, so you can say this is also similar to best effort delivery. So if you are using UDP in combination with the IP, then definitely your service is best effort delivery. No reliability, no guarantee that your data will be delivered. Then why to use this if it is so unreliable? Because if you have to provide reliability, then definitely for those making the system reliable, you have to add certain factors. Those certain factors are going to take time. Okay, so that's why that is going to affect your delivery, that overall transmission time, and that overall time taken from your packet starting from your source machine to reaching to destination machine. So there are certain services which are running where we need the fast delivery. We are not bothered about reliability. At the receiver side, somebody is waiting for your response. Okay, interactive services, so like chat applications, online gaming, online movie watching, online video watching, online music listening. Okay, telnet, these type of services. Because when you are sending something at the receiver side, somebody is waiting for your response, so there should not be delay in your response. That's why the speed is very important. Even if the packet, one or two packet loss, it's okay. Okay, but If somebody is watching movie online, that person should not wait for the next frame to be watched. Okay, the frames should be continuous. The streaming should be continuous. So in those services where we need faster delivery for interactive applications, we use this UDP. If I send you an email, you are not you have not opened your mailbox and just waiting for the email. Just I'm waiting, waiting, waiting. That is not like that. Even that email is delayed by 5 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It's not going to affect because that is not an interactive thing. But when I'm chatting with you, that time that is an interactive thing. Okay, so in those interactive applications where the delivery speed is very important, there this UDP is used. So these are the well-known ports which are used with the UDP. Okay, so this 67 is for BOOTP, TFTP 69, SNMP 162. Okay, so all these are the well-known port numbers. So you, if you want to check the port numbers like for FTP, so all these port numbers are stored in this services in the etc directory. Into the this services folder, these port numbers are used. So using this command, we can see the port numbers. Okay, so you can give grep, then the particular application for which you want to know the port number, space slash etc slash services. Okay, so for FTP with the TCP, the port number 21 is used, along with for UDP also the port number 21 is used for FTP service. Okay, so using this command you can find out the port number. Okay, so this is SNMP port number. Then UDP header. So the header size is 8 bytes fixed. UDP header size is 8 bytes and it is fixed. It has only 4 fields: source port number, destination port number, total length, and checksum. That's all. So source port number is the port number of the application process running on the sender side. Destination port number is a port number of the application process running on the destination side. Total length is the length of header plus data. Header is 8 byte fix, so total length is header plus data. Okay, and checksum is checksum of this header. Checksum is checksum of this header. So for this header, the checksum, it includes the some part of IP header also. That is known as a pseudo header. Okay, so this I'll show. So UDP length will be IP length minus IP headers length. So here, this for calculating this checksum, this pseudo header of IP is also used. Pseudo header means not all the fields, not all 5 rows, only these parts. IP address, and then all zeros are put here. The 8-bit protocol and that 16-bit UDP total length. All these values are taken together, added, total sum is calculated, and that is added here. Okay, so that is a checksum part. Then queues in the UDP, because when you send something at every port number, because one application may be sending many files, so there is a queue for every port number. Okay, the outgoing queue and incoming queue. So whatever the application is generating the data to transmit, that is stored in the outgoing queue, and whatever data is received, that is stored in this incoming queue. Okay, so the concept of UDP is clear. Yes. Any doubt in this? Repeat. Shubham, what part you want me to repeat with check? I didn't see your message right now. I saw. See, when I okay. See, when I switch to that this now slideshow, that time I can't see these chat messages. So you can unmute yourself and you can interrupt me. Is this clear now? That UDP part is clear. So we can move to the TCP part. Okay. So TCP is connection oriented protocol and it is reliable protocol. Okay, so TCP, we can say it is a connection oriented reliable protocol. So it creates a virtual connection between two TCPs to send the data, and TCP also uses flow control, error control at the transport layer to provide the reliability. Okay, so TCP is like a telephone call. See, we all postal services are connected. All our telephone lines are also connected. But in postal service, we do not have to establish a prior connection between the sender and the receiver. We all are connected through the postal services, and we all are connected through the telephone line also. But for calling somebody, for making a call, or for if you want to talk with somebody, then what you have to do, you have to dial the person's number. Then the person's phone should ring. If that person's phone number is working and it is in the network coverage area, then that person's phone number should ring. And if that person picks up your call, then we are connected virtually. Already we are connected, our phone lines are connected, but that is a virtual connection between you and the person to whom we are calling. And once the connection is established, after that we can communicate, we can transmit the data. The same thing is with the TCP. Okay, so all devices are automatically connected through the internet, but before, to the sender and the receiver, we have to, this just like a dial up, you dial up, you inform the sender that I want to send something to you. Okay, then the sender should reply that yes, I'm ready to receive. Then you should start transmitting. Okay, so that is the connection oriented mechanism of the TCP. So TCP is connection oriented protocol. It is a reliable protocol, so it provides flow control and error control at the transport layer. Okay, so these are well-known port numbers used with the TCP. Okay, so these applications like Telnet, SMTP, DNS, BOOTP, so these are the port numbers are used with the TCP, HTTP, RPC. Okay, and it provides the delivery of like a stream of bytes. Okay, so sending process application data is given, this transport layer process them in the form of bytes. Okay, so at the sender side and the receiver side there is a buffer. Generally this is a circular buffer. Okay, this is like a circular queue, I guess, circular queue, huh? Okay, so in the circular queue, whatever the data is received, that is added, and from those bytes are transmitted in the form of stream of bytes. Once the byte which are transmitted, that place is empty for the next byte to be stored. Okay, at the same at the receiver side, those stream of bytes delivered, and the buffer takes the byte by byte and give it to the receiving process. Okay, and after this byte, it is taking the byte by byte from the sending process, giving to the process also byte by byte, but cannot transmit the data byte by byte. So it takes the data, form a segment, put those data in the form of one segment, add the header of the TCP, and give it to the network layer. Okay, so that segmentation and reassembly. Again, those segments are given at the receiver side, those segments are taken, clubbed together, reassembled, and then byte by byte data is delivered to the receiving process. So these here, the bytes of the data which are being transferred in each connection are numbered by TCP. The numbering starts with a randomly generated number. See, it provides flow control. For flow control, we need acknowledgement. For acknowledgement, we need a certain sequence number. Okay, if you want to say that I received your packet number 4, so you have to specify what you received, what is the next packet or what next segment you are expecting. So that's why we need a sequence number. So this TCP provides a sequence number. Okay, and that sequence number is randomly generated number. Okay, so that is a randomly generated number. And the value of the sequence number field of the segment, that defines the number of the first data byte in that particular segment. Here you can see this is a sequence number is 10,001. It means in this segment, if the size of this segment is 1000, then the first byte is 10,001, and all the segments which are carried, the last byte is 11,000. In the next segment, sequence number will be 11,001. The next segment sequence number will be 12,001. Okay, and then acknowledgement number. When you are sending some acknowledgement, it means you received your packet 3, and you are expecting packet number 4. So you will write acknowledgement 4. It means I have received all your packets till packet number 3. Now I am expecting your packet number 4. So that's why This the acknowledgement will be the uh, number of the next byte which you are expecting, and this acknowledgement number can be cumulative also. Okay, for two segments you can provide one acknowledgement. Now this is very 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 important. Okay, this is a TCP header format, same way the IP header format we studied. So in the exam, most of the time, out of these two, TCP or IP, one of the header format is asked for 10 marks. So you have to draw this header format, and you have to explain every field. Okay. So this header format. So the first part of this header format is port number, source port number, then destination port number. So 32 bits for this source port number, destination port number. Then next value will be the sequence number of this particular segment. Again, that 32 bit is used for that sequence number. Then acknowledgement number. So you know that concept of piggybacking. Sometimes we are transmitting the data and from the both side. So acknowledgement can be clubbed together with the packet which you are transmitting. So you are sending your data and acknowledging the data which you have received. So acknowledgement number, that is 32 bit. Whether you are replying, even if you are not communicating both way, then also you have to reply. You have to provide acknowledgement. So acknowledgement number. Then header length, because header is not fixed. Header size is not fixed. So header length, excuse me. What is the header length we are using? Then these 6 bytes are reserved, which are not used. Then these are 6 flags, very, 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 very important. Okay, sometimes a short note is asked on any of these flag or in the Viva. Okay, from the Viva, it's very important. So these are 6 flags: urgent flag, acknowledgement flag, push flag, reset flag, synchronization flag, and finish flag. Okay, urgent, acknowledgement, push, reset, synchronize, and finish. Okay. Then window size, because we are using sliding window protocol here. Do you remember flow control at the data link layer? Go back and selective repeat. So those same protocols are used here. So in that window size, checksum and urgent pointer. Urgent pointer is used along with this urgent flag. Okay, so if see, as we know that this is going to send the data byte by byte in a sequence, it is going to send. If you want to send something urgently, okay, that time that data should be delivered before all your previous data. Okay, so take example, suppose you requested a file, that I should send you a file. Okay, and suddenly I started transmitting a file to you people. Okay, then I realized ki no, I'm sending a wrong file, so I want to abort that transmission. So what command I'll give command to abort that transmission. So I'll give control C. Now control C is also data, the command, but that is if it is going in the sequence. So first all the file content what I already sent, that will be transmitted, then my control C will be delivered. Then what is the point? The file is already transmitted. Okay, so in that case, if I want to abort that process immediately, so that data will be urgent. Okay, so then that part of the data will be delivered before everything. Whatever data you already send in the queue, but this urgent part will be delivered before that. Okay, so that time we can set this urgent flag to 1, and from which particular part in the data, what part is that urgent part of the data. So that part is, that urgent pointer will point out to that part, that starting from this point this data is urgent. Okay, then acknowledgement. If you are sending acknowledgement of any data, then this acknowledgement frame flag is set to 1. Acknowledgement flag is set to 1 if you are providing acknowledgement for any particular data. Okay, then push flag. This is a request to push, like don't hold the data. Don't hold the data and wait for that next byte to arrive and buffer to be full. Just push whatever the data is received, push that data in the transmission. Okay. Then reset. You this before this reset, this SYN flag. So this synchronization flag, SYN flag, is used to establish the connection. Okay, to establish the connection before sending anything to data transmission to the destination, we have to establish the connection. This is like you have to dial up the number. The person is picking the call, then only we can communicate. The same way we send this SYN flag to the destination machine to inform that machine that we want to transmit some data to your machine, to we want to communicate. Okay, if that machine replies with this SYN and ACK, that yes, you can, I am ready to receive and I am acknowledging that I have received your, yes, I, connection is established, and then we can start the data transmission. So this SYN flag is used for that purpose. Okay, SYN flag, it is used for that purpose, to establish the connection. If we are done with the data transmission, now we want to terminate that connection, we want to close that connection. That time this FIN flag, finish flag, is set, it is set to 1. Okay, to terminate that connection. And if we want to reset that connection, then RST flag is used. Is this clear? सारे फ्लैग का पर्पस समझ में आया? Should I repeat something? Something is not clear. These are really very important, from even at least from exam point of view and from your Viva point of view. In the end, you will ask, Madam, Viva mein kya aayega? So what, when I'm teaching the topic, that time itself I'm telling you that kya important hai, Viva mein kya puchega examiner. Yes. Is the purpose of all 6 flags clear? Any doubt? Should I repeat anything from this? See, Viva, only Viva will be there, I cannot say, because all that depends on the Mumbai University's guidelines. Okay, yeah. So, okay, so flags are clear. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, so now if like this is a TCP header, so the first part is source port number, 16-bit, so source port number. Then second part is destination port number. Then this is a sequence number. Then this is acknowledgement number. Okay, after that, length of the header. So in this, the 4-bit, so first byte is this length of the header, like this. Okay, so sorry, this is length of the header. We are not sending an acknowledgement number. So this is the first part. 61st, in this you see here, first 32 bits. So 16 bit, 16 bit, then 32, 32. So here you see, so out of this 16, first is source, then 17 is 007 is destination, sequence number, acknowledgement number, length of the header is 5, it means 20, then type of, what is the type of segment, and window size, this is your window size. And what type of segment we are sending, then we have to just put this value into the binary, and we have to set check which flag is set. Okay, so here first 4 bit is for header length, next 6 bits are not used, and remaining these 6 bits are for your flag. So we have to just convert these values into the binary and check which flag is set to 1. And then this is a window size. This is clear? Okay. So we'll stop here, because again this 3-way handshaking is very important, and I want to just explain this when most of the students will be there. Okay, that we will stop here. Is that okay? That connection establishment and that connection closing, that 3-way handshaking is very important. So Shubham, I couldn't hear what you told. You can type. Hmm. Okay, so we'll stop here today, And in this week or next week again, today we are having meeting at 3 o'clock. So that time we'll come to know when is the term end or till which date we have to conduct the lectures. Okay, when we are going to have your term test two or like that. So accordingly, if we'll get sufficient time, then we'll finish the syllabus in the regular lectures. Otherwise, uh, we'll take extra lectures. Okay, in this week, I think diploma student will be free. Then in morning, evening time, we can take. Hmm. Yeah, in May, ITA 2 will be there, but when in the May? The first week, second week, sir, that today will come to know in the meeting. So accordingly, we'll see. And for this, we have to take at least two, three extra lectures. Okay. So whenever it will be possible, I'll inform Prathamesh, and accordingly we'll have on Saturdays or some other days. Okay. So attendance, seat number one, two,
Present, ma'am.
three,
Present, ma'am.
four,
Present, ma'am.
five, six, seven,
Present, ma'am.
8,
Present, ma'am.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Present, ma'am.
14,